Hello and welcome to the Love Talk, where we confront myths and misinformation when it comes to relationships.
Where couples and singles learn to love intelligently.
Problems in a relationship, whose fault is it? That's a question that plays in many people's minds. Always trying to find the one to be blamed, always trying to find someone to be the scapegoat, always trying to shift the blame or, placing the blame on one particular person. That's what we're going to be covering today. That's what we're going to be doing today. We have a couple who will be sharing their story with us, and with their story you learn whether we are supposed to blame someone, we're supposed to always shift the blame and believe that it's one's fault only, or when it comes from both sides.
But first, we're going to go to a segment that I really enjoy. We're going to go for Dear Love Talk.
And it's Dear Love Talk time, where we answer to your questions, and by the way, you can submit them via email to questions@lovetalkshow.tv, and we'll be more than glad to answer to all your questions here at our Love Talk program. So, would you like to read the first question?
Let's go for the first question. I separated from my wife, but I love her very much. I've been trying to reconcile with her. I need help.
Well, he doesn't give much details about the separation, but if he's separated from her and he's trying to reconcile with her, gives me the impression, the understanding, not the impression, the understanding that perhaps he kind of made a mistake, messed up a little bit.
Something went wrong there.
Something went wrong, exactly. And the desire to reconcile, the desire to go back, to fix it is valid, is good. However, that's not enough. The imagination, you imagine yourself back with your wife, the good times, enjoying her company, that's not what matters right now. What matters is finding out, which perhaps you don't have to because maybe you already know, what went wrong and having to fix it, making adjustments so that you can have her back.
It's what happens to a lot of couples, sometimes men who come to talk to us. The wife is complaining. She's bringing something that she's not happy with. She keeps telling him. He doesn't listen. He thinks there's no problem. If there is any problem, the problem is hers. The fault is hers. And then when they realize she's gone, that's when maybe there was something wrong after all. And the mistake that many make is what I think this viewer is also making. Now, all they worry about is, I want her back.
Going back, exactly.
I want her back. I lost her, I've done something wrong, but what matters now is that we have to be together, I want her back. When in fact, what you need to do so that your wife might consider coming back, taking you back, is changing the things that weren't right before you separated. There were things, I'm sure, from both of them, not only him.
This is the moment where the person will use the head. What we're trying to say here is that you have to use your head right now. Analyze what happened, how it happened, and then not promising her that you will change. No, but you making sure you apply those changes to yourself. And then, most likely, she'll have you back.
Well, I think that's the only way that could happen.
Yes, and if she doesn't, that's okay. At least you know you did what you had to do. But simply, as I said, seeing you with her, just imagining that, or, somehow, feeling that way, I want to be back with her. I don't know if there are kids involved. I want to be with my kids. Let's say, if you have kids, I want to be with my kids and enjoy those moments together. It's not enough. It's about you changing, making that self-analysis and making sure that you don't only promise that, but she will see that. Perhaps as she meets you, as she sees you, she will see a completely different man. I'm pretty sure that things will change.
There is a chance
indeed.
There.
Okay? So, if you have questions, once again, questions@lovetalkshow.tv. Send us your questions and you answer them right here, okay?
Hello YouTube, I am Rafa and this is Luke and we are the presenters of the Love Talk Show.
And you can subscribe to this channel, like, share, and leave your comments below. Hello and welcome back to the Love Talk. And today's topic is problems in a relationship. Whose fault is it?
Do you think it's the man's fault or the woman's fault?
Yes. Yeah, sometimes it's a battle, right?
Yeah.
It's a battle.
It's a pickle, I tell you.
Yeah, it is. It's a chess. It's a game of chess, right? Well, you know, we hear that a lot. That, you know, especially from women, men are all the same. That's a typical approach to, you know, seeing every man, you know, the same. Pretty much saying that, you know, whatever happens in a relationship, it's the man's fault, right? Even though we know that that's not true, but that's what in the minds of many people, especially women.
Yeah, it's normal for women when they are in a relationship or they have been in a relationship that was traumatizing even, or it was very bad, to say it didn't work or I wasn't happy because he did this, or he didn't do that. So it's basically his fault. It didn't work, I have nothing to do with it. It was all him, very common.
Yeah, so is it real, is it true that, you know, it's only the man or the women or both, right? So the question today is, problems in a relationship, whose fault is it? Who is the guilty one? Who is the culprit? So we have here today in the studio Douglas, who will be sharing his story with us because, you know, he went through a lot, and I don't know if he's the culprit.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, but we will hear that straight from him. How are you, Douglas?
I'm fine. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Rafa.
Thanks for coming, okay?
Thank you for having me in the show.
Good. So, and then, whose fault is it? Was it your fault? Was it her fault? So, you're here to tell us a little bit of your story, right?
Yes, of course.
So, Douglas, by the way, he's not single, okay? he's in a relationship. He's married.
He's sitting alone.
He's sitting alone because we have a surprise for you, okay? So, tell us a little bit about your background then.
Okay. Well, the initial question was, whose fault is it? Well, I was brought up by a single parent. You know, when I grew up in a normal family. My father, my mother, they were happily married, apparently happily married. But when I was about 6 years old of age, they broke up. My dad walked out of the house. And then,
which is a typical example of, you know, when people say it's his fault.
yeah.
Right, because he walked away.
Yeah.
So people say
this is the kind of
this
example.
is a very common scenario, right? So your father and your mother had issues, and he decided to leave.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he was the culprit or the guilty one. It could be her also, right?
Yeah, it could be either. But yes, the fact is that, okay, when I was 6, and when my father left the house, I was still growing up. So as a kid, when you don't have a male figure in the house, even though you've been brought up by your mother, but you know, it's not the same thing. We know that there are mothers who are the breadwinner of a family. They do their very best to raise up their children. But you know, it's not just the same thing. And not having a male figure around me brought a lot of issues in my life. And I started learning wrong things. And obviously, this all caused me to become a very emotional child, if I can put it this way.
Are you the only child?
No, I'm not the only child. I have a younger sister.
The youngest, so you're the oldest.
Yeah, I was the only man in the house, you see. Because, yes, of course. My mom, my cousin, my younger sister.
All them women.
3 against 1.
I have a question. What did your mother tell you when your father left? What was the explanation? Did she say?
No, Rafa. Well, to be honest with you, Mom didn't really talk much about it. She would always avoid it. The thing is, most of her time she was at work.
Okay.
because she used to work as a nurse, so she used to do double shifts.
But-
So she was barely at home.
But did you see your father as one who was at fault in your mind? Did you ever think that he was the one who messed up because he walked away, he left in your mind, or you never had that image about your father?
No, I did have that image about him. I thought he was the one to blame. Because, you know, he was cheating on my mom. So, and obviously, but the thing is, you see, he was cheating on her and she paid back. So meaning I didn't really have a role model or someone whom I could say, well, this is the right one, let me stick to him or to her, because they were both wrong.
So, and then how did it develop? You know, you said that you became somehow emotional, right? Obviously back then you didn't know that you were just a child, but today you see that that's very clear. What did that lead you to, by being that kind of person? I believe you grew up, even in your teen years, when you became a teenager. Can you say that you were very, very much emotional?
Yes. Well, I always realized there was something wrong with me. I had abnormal behavior. Obviously, when we talk about being a kid and being emotional, children are emotional, but I was extremely emotional.
Like what?
Anything that would happen to me, I would cry. I would be, you know, such an attention seeker. I would always seek attention. I always wanted to be accepted by all the people, by all the boys of my age. And I could see something wasn't right. Very sensitive, very insecure about myself.
Was that how you were when you were a teenager too?
Yes.
15, 16?
As I grew up, it became worse.
Worse?
Yeah.
In which way?
More mistakes, more emotional. And then obviously, becoming a teenager led me to seek for relationships. You know, when you go to school, it's quite normal, you know, to have that you know, that sort of, you know, when you have a crush on a girl and you start, you know, flirting and looking at each other in a different way. And then every time I would be in a relationship when I was in my mid-teens, I was very serious about it. I don't know, maybe the idea of seeing my father womanizing really put me off and made me have that kind of mindset, no, I can't just be the same. So I'm not going to be playing around with girls here. But the problem is, you see, every time I was in a relationship, the girls would cheat on me. So that really made me feel really disappointed about relationships. Because I didn't really have a good history of relationships in my family. My mom got divorced. My aunties were all divorced. My cousins were all unhappily married. So I didn't really have
someone to look up to, a relationship to use as a role model, right?
Probably you came to the conclusion that there aren't happy relationships because you didn't see any. You didn't live together with anybody who was happy. So maybe after being with girls that you wanted to be serious about and they didn't, maybe you thought it doesn't happen. Many people come to that conclusion. I would just be happy for a while, or some people think to love is to suffer. You can never really achieve complete happiness in a relationship because they never see it, like Douglas.
Yeah, one thing that I think it's worth mentioning, well, it's a bit funny.
We're all
but you
funny.
see, one of the things that really showed that I had an abnormal behavior, even when I was still in my mid-teens, I would still sleep with my mom. It was me here, my mom, and my sister.
Wow, that's deep.
Why? Yes, I know. I'm saying this on TV.
No,
but you see, but I know there are many
already...
men who face this, but obviously they are not going to talk about it. But you see...
And there are different ways for you to deal with handle emotions, right? Let's say, for example, there might be a teenage guy right now who's watching us, and he said, I don't do that. I don't sleep with my mom and my sister because, you know, I'm emotional. But there are other ways to manifest emotions, different ways.
Even guys who are very closed up, very serious, that they don't show emotion, it doesn't mean they are not emotional. It's just one way to manifest
to
emotions.
show, you know, that they are emotional. So
Yeah.
that's the extent you went to.
Yeah. Yes. And obviously, now imagine the insecurity was always there.
Of course, yes.
And obviously, because you see, I didn't have a male figure or anyone whom I would look up to. So my mom was everything to me. So to the point that at night, when she would get home after spending 2-3 days at work and I couldn't see her, then obviously I wanted to spend time with her to the point of sharing the same bed. And obviously and the thing is, she wouldn't go and tell me, no, you know what, go and sleep in your room, you got a room. She obviously taught me the wrong way and
Didn't help much.
She encouraged it, maybe to protect you, maybe because of she saw that. It's just I understand
And
why
almost
she
because
would.
first child, we know how it is, how it
Yeah.
works, right? So, and then how did you manage to overcome that? Because I believe you are here today, obviously because you managed to overcome that. So was there a first step? Was there something that you did to rid yourself of those feelings? Emotions are always there.
yeah.
We can't rid ourselves from them completely, entirely. What did you do to kind of minimize the effects of those feelings?
Okay. Well, growing up, going from relationship to relationship, getting, you know, a lot of heartbreaking relationships, disappointments. Then obviously, you know, there comes a time in your life where you've got two choices. Either you learn from your mistakes or you keep, you know, knocking yourself down on the same mistake. And then I heard of a Love Talk seminar, which I started attending. In this Love Talk seminar, I learned that emotions, as you said, you put it very well, is something that obviously you can't really get rid of it because it's there, it's inside of you, but there are ways where you can master it. For instance, something that I had never heard in my entire life, put your head above your heart. This, you know, sounds so simple, but to my ears, it was something new. Put your head above your heart. Think before you make your decisions. Don't just do things because you feel like doing.
And I believe it was shocking to you because, as you just described, you spend most of your life based on feelings.
Yeah.
Very emotional, very sensitive, you know, going through a lot of heartbreaking experiences. So hearing that, it must have been shocking,
Yes.
right? And at the same time, a big relief. So you're learning something that perhaps could help you then, you know, completely change that situation, turn that situation around, right?
Yes.
So did you start thinking differently then towards relationships? Did you change your mindset?
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight. It took a couple, you know, it was a work in progress. It is still a work in progress, but of course, I'm much better now. I can control my emotions. But, well, I learned, for example, about making decisions, not, you know, oh my God. I think the expression is to sell yourself short. Is that the right thing?
Yeah.
Because I would always sell myself short. You know, when you don't really appreciate yourself and give the value that you deserve, you know you have it, but you let people label you. You let people evaluate how much you're worth, rather than you yourself discovering your self-value. And that's what I learned.
So it's interesting that that's all about rebuilding oneself,
Yes.
right? It's working on yourself before you go into a relationship. So you tried different relationships before and you thought it would work. You even made the effort. No, I don't want to happen to me or happen to my parents. I'm not going to do what my father did to my mother or whatever. I don't want to cheat on my girlfriends. I want to treat them fairly and etc. But look at how you are living your relationships. You're experiencing them. So that showed you that that wasn't the way to fix the problems. You had to go much deeper, right? Which was rebuilding yourself, getting rid of those emotions, overcoming those feelings and that kind of thought, you know, those thoughts about relationships, right?
Because when this is all you know, all you experience is this, you know, you feel something, so you like a girl, you go for it, she cheats on you, your heart's broken, that's all you experience, it's very hard for you to suddenly change or go into a relationship and make that one different, because you are the same. You see things the same. So the head above the heart is simple but revolutionary.
Yes.
Because it can really change.
So did that make you feel like then you were ready then for a relationship in the future?
Yes.
Changed your...
But one thing that was very helpful, you know, is to meet people whose relationships were successful. Because as I said previously, in my family, the history was very poor. I mean, relationship-wise, it was not good. So getting to meet people whose relationships were successful and an example to me, even though they were not my relatives, but, you know, friends, that made me see, wow, I can be happy in my relationship. I can master my emotions and make the most of life.
Yeah. So, as we can see, Douglas seemed to be ready for a relationship, right? But there's a catch here,
I'm
right?
curious. I'm very curious to see how this is going to go.
To see how it's going to end. So, we're going to for a short break right now, and after the break, we're going to continue with Douglas, and his wife will join us, and then explore a little bit more of his story after they got married. Stay with us. Hi YouTube. Did you know that we hold a seminar called Love Talk Live every Thursday, 8 p.m.? That's right, at the address below that you can see, and it's completely free.
And there we talk about similar topics of the ones we talk about here on Love Talk Show. You can get in touch with us by emailing us questions@lovetalkshow.tv or through our Facebook page, Love Talk Show.
That's right.
We'll see you there.
Hello and welcome back to the Love Talk, and today's topic is problems in relationships. Whose fault is it? And just before we continue, in case you don't know, we have a brand new website, completely redesigned website, which is lovetalkshow.tv, and you can visit our website at any time, and you know you find stories. You can send also your questions and see all that we are doing in the show, and you know our Love Talk tour that's been going on at the moment. So lovetalkshow.tv, that's the address to our website. And during the break, Douglas, and by the way, we're back here with Douglas, and now his wife is with us.
Graziella.
Graziella. Hi, Graziella, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good to have you here. But during the break, Douglas was telling us that also led you to an addiction, right?
Yes.
So what happened back then?
Well, in my mid-teens, as I said, living with my mom, my sister, then I left home. I went to live by myself.
Okay.
Actually, I went to live with some relatives. And then living with those relatives, I had that, you know, false impression that things were going to turn out to be better, but they weren't. And that's when I started taking drugs, heavy drugs.
What kind of drugs?
Oh, I started with, you know, smoking just fags, cigarettes, and then I went to cannabis, crack, cocaine, and then it was a mess. I did 4 times.
Wow.
How old were you when you started?
15, nearly 15, yes.
So all that due to those emotional struggles that you're going through, right?
Yes.
Always in search.
Yes.
But then you finally, after making those changes, as you just described before the break, and you received something that really helped you think and made better decisions, I believe you met Graziella, right?
Yes.
How long have you been married now? For how many years?
Actually, today is our 13th wedding anniversary.
Today?
Yes.
Wow.
We got married on the 22nd of May, 2004.
Good. Don't mess with the date. Don't mess with the date. You cannot forget the date. So congratulations then.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's nice to have you here on your wedding anniversary.
It is, it is. We should have something fancy here. I didn't know. But anyway, Graziella, so we've been married to Douglas for 13 years,
13
right?
years, yes.
But what was your experience in the beginning of the relationship? Because apparently he changed his views towards relationships. But did he really change? Was he really a mature man, or you met a man who was still struggling with emotions?
Okay. So I must say that before we got married, we were best friends. We developed our friendship throughout the years, and we grew very close to each other. So I would open up to him, he would open up to me, so we would share a lot. And I loved his personality, he loved my personality as well. So looking
So you're good
at...
friends for a long time?
very good friends for a
how long?
long time.
For 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
To the
So
point.
not
I
dating,
think
just
more.
friends.
No,
just as
no,
friends.
just friends.
We are so
He had
close.
his relationship and I had my relationship.
Okay.
I was
So we were
engaged
just
to a lady.
All right.
She was dating a guy, and we would talk about our relationship.
Yeah, we worked together, so it was easier for us to...
Now, look at the danger. Look at the
That's what I
danger.
was about to say now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a topic for another show.
yeah, talk for another show. Let's skip
Okay,
that.
so...
Fast forward.
Yeah, fasting forward. So we got married, and looking at it, we wouldn't have any problems because we were good together. So we thought, okay, this marriage is going to be
Wonderful.
happy. Of course. So as I heard this a lot, marriages work, and I didn't really believe because I thought, oh no, I'm marrying my best friend, so my work is going to be little. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. So we did have to work on our marriage. We did had things that we encountered throughout the years that was not okay. One of the things that he brought to our marriage that it really influenced me to be like that as well. And I think when he started admiring other people's marriage, like being inspired by people who he looked up to now, because now he had people who would inspire him, married couples. And that's good, that's very good. But he would make me feel like I was less, or somehow he would compare me a lot with other people.
So now that he believed that marriage could work, you were so excited that now I want my marriage to be like that person, like that person, like that person.
Since I never believed that it worked, now that I do, my standards are really
Very high.
It's
You
really
raised the bar way you raised the bar way too high,
Yeah.
and then you felt like
Yeah,
perhaps
because
like what?
no woman likes to be compared
Of course.
to
No one.
anyone. No
Yeah.
one, actually,
Especially
everybody,
women, of
but
course.
women,
Yeah.
we are very emotional towards that. So I didn't like it, but I didn't really express that I didn't like that. I think somehow that's why it influenced me, because I allowed it to change me, to make me not be myself. From time to time. So if we were in an environment and there were different people from my personality, I knew he would be upset if I was myself. So I would just be quiet and silent just to please him, but that wasn't me. I was going against who I am just to please him.
So that emotional guy was already having a lot of influence on you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So could you then back then perceive that you were married to a man whose emotions were a bit too high? Was that the only thing you noticed about him, or there were other things that you said, it's a bit too much of an emotional person here right next to me?
No, I think that there was one of the highlights that brought a lot of issues in our marriage. That he would kind of bring this to our relationship. So I felt like, okay, and I'll live to please him. So even if I kill a little bit of my personality, of me, to please him, so I would do that. But that wasn't bringing us any benefit. We weren't happy, and there were moments that because I was already like that as well, so I would kind of not let him be himself as well. So now it was me being influenced by that behavior.
So two sets of very emotional people coming together.
Yes.
It wasn't working very well.
Well, no.
I have a question. What was your mindset then? Because you knew her, like you knew her personality. But what
Perhaps
did you
as
have in
best
mind?
friends,
Yeah. What did you have in mind when you would compare or when you would say, don't be like that?
Or aim to
Yeah.
to be like other couples.
Okay, I think even though it was a joke, but you said it all when you said the standards.
Yeah.
And obviously she did have good standards. But for example, let me give examples because I think it will be easier to be understood by the viewer. Let's say my mom was not that kind of woman that would go and cook and put the food on the table and say, or make a plate and come in and serve me. She would cook it there, leave it there and say, go and help yourself. And I grew up being like that. Mm-hmm. But you see, being around people and watching the couples and watching the wives of my colleagues going and serving them on the plate, treating them, as a king. Uh-huh. And Grazi wasn't like that. Mm-hmm. She would cook and say, help yourself, honey, eat as much as you like. Mm-hmm. You know your taste better. Mm-hmm. And then I started having those.
I've seen this before.
Yeah.
I don't want that anymore. Right?
Yeah, I said, no, listen, you gotta serve me. Because so and so is doing that. Look at that. Another example. Grazi has a very outgoing personality. Mm-hmm. She likes to speak, to give ideas, to contribute to ideas. And I was very intruded. Mm-hmm. I was quiet. And, normally the man, as the head, you're always, out there, outgoing. You are normally the one who takes the initiative. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was the other way around. So watching Grazi being outgoing mm-hmm. and me not being as outgoing as she was, and watching the other man being outgoing mm-hmm. as she was, I would mm-hmm. think, hold on a sec, you gotta put yourself in your place. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. and that was ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
Thank goodness we arrived at this conclusion.
Today, of course, we see that. But you know what? But that's what many men go through.
Yeah.
Where the woman is taking the initiative, she's the driving force. But because there is something behind. After everything you experienced in your life, even though after in your late teens you realize that you should put your reasons, your head above your heart. Okay, that was good. But when it came to hands-on, type of thing, when marriage happened and now you're married, you came to realize, okay, I'm not that man yet. I'm still needy, or I'm not who I'm supposed to be. And you see now your wife being at the front, doing the things perhaps you're supposed to do, and you are not doing that. And you start looking around and say, okay, I want that, and I want that, and I want this. Like you're picking and choosing and telling her, do this, you have to do that, and do this and do that. But when you also have to change, right? So when was the moment that you guys realized that, okay, this needs to stop? This needs to come to an end. We can't compare ourselves to others. We can't be others. When you realized that you had to take an initiative, how things started changing between the two of you?
Well, when we finally understood that we are one mm-hmm. and we have to have our own culture. Okay. We cannot be bringing other people's ways or habits, way of doing things, be us. No, we have to be us, have mm-hmm. our own identity. Mm-hmm. So we found, okay, what is our identity? My identity is this. I didn't grow up with my mom serving me my plate and putting me on my mm-hmm. table, so that's not who I am. And he knows, another thing, he used to know his way around the kitchen. And and I would feel fine when it was just the two of us. But if it was someone else, I would kind of oppress him. Don't go, don't do it. Let me do it. He likes to do his own. He has a very creativity for sandwiches, I must say. Yes, he goes and he does nice things. So, but if it was someone else with us, and I would, no, just let me do it, because I didn't want to, actually, we didn't want to look different from the others. So I think that was, okay, no, you know your way around the kitchen, be free, let him be. I had to tell myself, okay, let him be. That's who he is, and I stopped doing that. He stopped comparing me completely with other people. We learned that this is not the right tool. This is not the right way to
have a marriage.
Have a marriage. Exactly. So knowing that was the only issue that was impeding our marriage to mature. So we said, okay, this is not good. So the moment we started having this in our marriage, we matured.
Did you guys talk about it? Did
Yes.
you confront this, like having a conversation and talk? And did you bring this up to him? And what was his reaction?
Well, I think
emotional or more reasonable?
No, more reasonable, because we always trying to find ways to improve our marriage. I think one of the things that really works for us is that we have an open communication, and this really, really helps, because we can talk about anything. We are open to each other, and sometimes the man doesn't really open up. Doesn't really talk much. No, that's not the case. Between us, it's really good that we can talk about things. So we talked. I think investing in the way we communicate as well, because sometimes you want to express to your partner you don't like something, but it's the way you express that doesn't make him understand. Maybe you complain, and that doesn't make him understand. So I would sometimes show that I didn't like something, but not in the right way. So let's do it in the old way. Let's sit down and let's talk.
So here we see that it's not a matter of whose fault is it, right? It's a matter of sitting down, talking, kind of negotiating, right, in a way. Obviously, all the emotions you brought into the relationship kind of affected in the beginning by making comparisons, and obviously you felt the brunt of those comparisons.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, as you said, we're not exploring your side that much today, but you said that you had a little bit of an emotional way of dealing with things. So it's not a matter of finding whose fault is it, and you are guilty, you're the culprit, you have to change. No, it's both changing, right? Negotiating, coming to a common ground and say, okay, let's do this from now on. I respect who you are, you respect who I am. I'll let, like you said, have your way, and you decided no longer to compare, just be yourselves, because that's the way to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, the power of decision making is amazing. I mean, when I made a decision that, no, as of now, I will stop comparing. We are gonna be us, Douglas Graziella. This is what we are. That's who I met. Yeah.
Who you married?
Actually, who you married.
And you see, our problems, they were all sorted. Why? Because now, as you put it very well, we are just us, and these brought peace to our relationship.
A lot of peace.
And one of the most amazing things that, can really help a relationship, is to master your emotions. Emotion is a problem, is perhaps the worst enemy. Don't get me wrong, not positive emotions, but when you let your emotions
the bad
play,
ones.
yes, when you
kind.
let your emotions make decisions for you, because then you say what you shouldn't, you look at things the way you shouldn't.
And one thing here that I would like to highlight is that perhaps as friends, you accepted each other so much better,
Yes.
right?
We did.
When you were friends. But when you came together, you started making those demands and started, perhaps mirroring other couples which it didn't work. But when you were friends, perhaps there were a lot of issues there.
Yeah, and this is also a proof that you see love alone will not be sufficient to make a relationship happy. Love is something you need to learn. You need to learn.
Love with the mind.
Yes.
Not with the heart.
Exactly.
But when you say this to people, it's like chemistry or physics or rock science or
Rocket science.
hard equation to come to a conclusion. Well, anyway.
One
wanna
thing
say
that one thing that I think is very important is because before they got married, he supposedly had fixed his issues. So it would be easy and very common that people do that, for him to blame her. It's like, you were the problem because I'm fine. All the issues that I had, I solved before I married you. And now whatever problems we have, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And she could have done the same because you had no problems, you were friends.
Did you think that when you were about to get married, when you decided that you were going to get married, that you were ready for that relationship? Back then, you thought, no, I'm ready now because now I understand why I was feeling that way. But I came to find out now that I have to use my reasons a bit more, have my emotions subjected to my intelligence. You thought that you were ready in the beginning?
Not really. No, I knew I was married to a commitment to get married. But this discovery only happened after some time.
No, of course. But in the beginning, prior to the marriage, prior to the day of not only the wedding day, but to the relationship itself, you thought that perhaps now I'm feeling better, more confident about relationship, I can go for it. I believe you have.
We like to think
unless you're very negative about it.
Yes,
we like
of course.
to think we are ready, right?
Yeah.
But you're not negative about it.
No, I wasn't.
No, not at all.
Like before, when you had failed relationships, you became a bit more disappointed.
Yes.
This time, because as you said, you learned, you attended some seminars, and your mind changed a little bit.
I think the difference was when I was about to get married, as Rafa said, I thought, I came from a rough past. I solved all my problems.
Yeah, that's
now I'm ready.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Which I wasn't.
Yeah, of course. Today we see that. And then you came to realize that later on.
Graziella sees it.
Yeah, exactly. But thankfully you were here celebrating your 13th anniversary.
Yes.
Can you celebrate with a kiss, please? Oh, there you go. Wonderful. So the point here for us to conclude is understanding, negotiating, talking, right? Making sure, at the end of the day, it's about making it work, right? Yes. One of the things that we want to just highlight here before we conclude the segment is that, this is one issue among many others. We've had different couples here, different issues in the past. And we see that all those problems came to an end by developing good communication. Using intelligence, not giving into the emotions. Emotions are always there, but you have to suppress them. Use your reason, your intelligence. Understand that you are in that commitment, in that relationship forever, not for a few months or a few years. No, we gotta make this work, so let's make this work.
And what people usually do, and that's why the relationships don't work, is that when they come to that standoff, you are comparing, can't do that. You were not like I was expecting or what I expected. People insist on, no, this is how I think. This is how I am. You have to adapt to however I am. Couples, they tend to think like that individually. It's like, I'm right, you have to adapt. So they keep being stubborn about it and it goes nowhere. So that's why relationships usually fail. But when you come to that conclusion, no, this is not working. The way I'm thinking, the way you're thinking, is not making this work. So what works, right?
Graziella, Douglas, thank you very much for your story. Okay, I believe it's going to help a lot of people. We thank you for coming and sharing with us your story.
Thank you so much.
Great pleasure.
Good. So, but before we go into the break, we're going to have now the 3 most annoying things.
I always look forward to that.
Me too. And I want to hear what Graziella has to say about Douglas. And from Douglas too. So let's see now the 3 most annoying things from Douglas and Graziella.
First one, when we wake up in the morning, and normally wake up and are very talkative, and I like to talk about work, and and Graziella still takes a bit of time to process So when I try to talk to her early in the morning, she doesn't really respond to the way I want. It gets, my nerves because I want a response from her, an interaction, and I don't get it.
When we wake up in the morning and I'm still processing that I'm awakening to a new day, and then he's like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and are you ready for this, are you ready for that? And I'm like, huh? No, don't talk to me, please. Yeah, takes a bit to process, and he's annoying when he does that.
The second thing is when I let's say, want to make a sandwich, or I'm cooking something, and then obviously I offer it to my wife and I say, do you want some? She says, nope, I'm fine. But then when I go and meal is ready and I'm eating, enjoying my delicious meal, which I thought it's all for me, she comes around and says, can I have some, please? And that gets on my nerves.
Let's do this, let's watch a movie, I come up with ideas for entertainment, and he's, no, I don't want to do that, so I don't even invite him anymore.
And I think the third thing that Graziella does that annoys me is, when we are ready for a commitment and she's getting dressed. Sometimes it takes forever. Like even coming here today, I had to rush her and say, let's go, we are running late. And then she was, doing her nails and putting the lipsticks, but she had done it countless times before.
And the third one is when I am like, Dozinho, Douglas, Douglas. And he's spaced out. And after a while, huh? Were you calling me? Yes, I was calling you.
Hi YouTube! Hope you're enjoying watching our show right now.
And just so you know, you also can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter on the details below on your screen.
Make sure you follow us on there too to stay up to date.
Welcome back to the Love Talk, and in today's program we are talking about problems in relationships. Whose fault is it, right? And just before the break, we had Douglas and his wife Graziella sharing with us their story, their testimony. In case you've missed it, you can go to our website, lovetalkshow.tv, and there you find the links, all the links to today's program and also to previous programs in case you have missed any. We also saw the 3 most annoying things from, from Douglas and his wife Graziella, which were pretty much annoying.
Yeah, every couple has them.
Yes.
It's normal.
Yes.
I have
sometimes more than 3.
Yeah,
by the way.
I have many others that I forgot to say when I had the chance. Maybe
That's
I'll have
another.
Yeah.
Another show. Okay. So anyway, we once again we see here how important it is for you, for us in general, to make sure our heads are over our hearts. Okay, not only physically, which is the case, but also when it comes to dealing with life's issues, especially relationships. It is very easy. It's very easy for us to get carried away by emotions. Depending on what we've been through in life, which was the case of Douglas, struggling with so many problems, lacking role models, and the list goes on. So that, plus everything else we go through in life on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, can really lead a person to make decisions based on emotions and then mess everything up. And that can also lead a person to always shift the blame. And in today's program, we are proving to our viewers that it's not about whose fault it is, or it's your fault. It's somebody else's fault, and blaming each other, shifting the blame. No, it's about finding a common ground and coming to a common solution.
And it's very common, I'd say, for people to do that, you know, either they blame the partner, the past. Douglas could have done that, you know. My
The
current
mother, perhaps?
the mother, the father, my current relationship or my previous relationships didn't work because I didn't have role models, I didn't have this, or this happened to me. Because it's easier. You see, Luke, when we had problems in our marriage, it's easier for me to think, because you did something I didn't like, it's your fault. Things don't work between us because of you. It's easier to do that than to confront that I have some part in it. Even if I'm not to blame completely, there's something that I need to do as well.
Because it's hard work. For you to work on yourself, for you to face yourself, like looking in the mirror and telling yourself you have to change, instead of telling the other person to change, but telling yourself, it's much harder. But that's necessary, because if Douglas did not work in himself, if he did not work in his problems that he faced for so many years, that would have affected his relationship, which he did in the beginning. Right in the beginning of their marriage, when he thought that he had everything figured out, he came to realize that, no, it's not that. So I still need to work on myself. So talking about it, confronting it, not confronting the person, but confronting it, the two of you confronting the issue, trying to, you know, come up with a solution and helping each other, that's the way to go. And also having to do that with yourself, so that you can overcome those problems, those issues, learning how to overcome those emotions. They will always be there. You cannot get rid of the emotions entirely. They will always be there. We're always teaching you that here in our programs. But you have to learn how to appeal more to your intelligence than to your emotions.
And the question of the topic, whose fault is it? We've learned today that it doesn't matter. It's the wrong question to ask. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whose fault is it. It matters that you find a way to make it work.
You save the relationship and you keep the relationship healthy. Okay? So we hope that you have enjoyed today's program. And until next time, we see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's all for today's Love Talk show. Be sure to tune in next week to learn more on how to love intelligently.